Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 18th of October and welcome to the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. So guys, let's start with the video. In the today's video, we'll discuss the entire Hindu newspaper analysis along with the background as well as in the way forward in the articles. Now, before starting up, first of all, I would like to tell you if you are new here that you can download this explainer PDF. In this explainer PDF, you will find the notes of all the articles that we have discussed here into the video, and in the last also there will be the mains practice question that has been given. So please download the explainer PDF. The link is given in the description box in YouTube. Moreover, you can visit the Telegram and can search there Thinking Planet by Sahil, and there you will get this notes. Okay, now before starting up, first of all, let's take the overview of the entire newspaper so that we can understand that which articles are actually important in the today's newspaper. So first page, Kerala governor says he can sack errant ministers. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that in the state of Kerala, from a long time there is the controversy that is going on between the office of the governor and the office of the chief minister and the council of ministers. Again and again this particular thing comes that the that the governor is trying to overstep the mandate that has been given by the Constitution of India. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that first of all let's read the tweet what it says. It says that the chief minister and council of minister have every right to advise the governor, but statement of individual minister that lowers the dignity of governor office can it says that ministers that lower the dignity of the governor's office can invite actions including withdrawal of the pleasure. Withdrawal of the pleasure. Now guys, when we talk about the withdrawal of the pleasure, can government really do that particular thing? Basically, it has been very clearly provided in the Constitution of India that the Council of Ministers or the ministers will be chosen by the governor as recommended by the chief minister. So in that particular direction, does the governor has a unilateral power that the governor can withdraw the pleasure? Yes or no? So Constitution doesn't mention that particular thing. So guys, this is something that has come. However, the article is just talking about that what the political developments have happened in this particular direction, and I am very much sure that in the days to come many of the articles in the editorial section on this particular line will be coming, which will constitutionally be investigating this particular thing. Okay, so as of now just we need to see this particular thing. Beyond that the academic substance is not there in the article. Then the Congress presidential elections are being discussed. You don't need to follow that particular thing. Okay, then guys, Sisodia quizzed for 9 hours by CBI, nothing very much important. Okay, students losing out on free coaching as Delhi government has not paid to the institutions. Again, not important article with respect to the exam. Okay, then guys, moving on in the regional section, the advertisements, political news, tenders, etc. have been given. So no need to go here. Directly we'll reach to the editorial page. In the editorial page, the first article, today's weapon of choice, its expanding dimension. This article is talking about the cyber warfare and how in the cyber domain has become important. Good article, we'll see this entire article. Recovery analysis that points out what India got wrong. So guys, this article is an economy article which talks about the recent released report by the World Bank. We'll see this entire article in detail. Then guys, this particular article, it is just measuring the inflation trends. It is just measuring the inflation trends. For example, what is the inflation and how the crops etc. are doing. So that particular data etc. has been given. However guys, understand this particular thing, that on this particular direction you don't need to track this particular month by month developments, because I have told you many number of times that these datas they change every coming week, every coming month. So any data which you will see today, it will not be relevant by the time you will write your exam. However, the state of Indian economy will discuss anyhow in the two of the articles that have been there. This article, one more article is also there that will discuss. Then Gone Girls. Now guys, this article talks about some of the attacks that had happened. Okay, so a girl Satya Priya in Chennai was attacked. Then there was another attack on another girl. So these incidents are being discussed here. So guys, the article just basically gives the details of these incidents that have happened. Moreover, the article is just raising this point that the women's safety is needed to be considered or given more seriousness. Then Judicial Committee over the arithmetic. We'll see this particular article with respect to the exam. Article is talking about the judicial validity of the larger benches versus the smaller benches. We'll see this particular article. Okay, IUML's challenge in Kerala. Okay, so basically now guys, the article, it is having a political connotation, not very much important for the examination, so no need to go there. Okay, then strengthening dollar shrinks foreign reserves across the nation. So guys, around the world we find this particular thing, that the dollar is strengthening. So basically in this particular article, the Japan, okay, the Japanese yen, Swedish Swedish krona, okay, the UK pound, won, euro, their particular levels have been discussed. Okay, so these currencies are all time low. Then basically the countries forex reserves and the changes that had come, they have been discussed. Now basically sometimes in this particular article there are some very good datas that come which we need for our examination, but these country specific datas, that okay, which country having which, how much amount forex, what it got changed, number one it's not important for exam, and number two, again as I told you, these particular things will be changed by the time you'll write your examination. So do you need to follow it? Not very much needed for your exam. Then coming to the text and the context, Hindi imposition and its discontents, we'll see this particular article. How the tokenization of the card will help the fraud prevention, we'll see this particular article also. Okay, now guys, the commodity fetishism. Okay, so basically the article is talking about, just one thing I want to tell you very briefly. So the article is talking about that today how the brands, they are alienating the products by the laborers. Okay, now guys, for example, this is a luxury brand Chanel. Now the Chanel manufactures some of the very high costly perfumes. The costly perfumes are manufactured by the Chanel. Now when we see the process of manufacturing the perfume, there might be certain flowers that would have plucked down, there might be certain artists or certain perfume, there might be certain people who have actually manufactured the perfume, then there are the bottlers who put that perfume in the bottle. Now when we buy the perfume from the Chanel, we never recognize or we don't even remember that there are some people who have actually done some physical labor. Rather we see that perfume, only we equate it with that particular brand value. So the labor and the products are getting alienated. So this is the very brief idea, and in this particular article, basically this particular thing, that how the labor and the product gets alienated, this phenomena has been explained under the capitalism. Now if you have the PSIR optional or if you have the sociology optional, you can read this particular article, but for general studies point of view, the article, okay, with respect to the exam, not much important. Only if you have, and not even I'll suggest only if you have sociology, then fine, the article is important. Then moving on, relationship with Gandhi is beyond contention. Okay, the political articles, no need to go. Justice Chandrachud appointed as 50th Chief Justice of India. We'll see this article briefly. Then guys, again the political articles have been given. Not important to go in this particular direction. Then moving on, Interpol has no role in curbing the state-sponsored terrorism, says official. So guys, just a couple of days back, we have discussed the Interpol. Okay, we have discussed the Interpol, its entire mandate. Now guys, when we talk about the Interpol, okay, it is an organization where the policing agencies, enforcement agencies around the world, member countries, they come together and they share their data about the crimes, etc. Now, Interpol has no role in curbing the state-sponsored terrorism. So, if a state is sponsoring the terrorism, for example, if Pakistan is sponsoring the terrorism, their Interpol will not work. There are the other specific UN bodies, the mandate of the United Nations Security Council will come. Just that particular thing is there. Then, the Defense Expo and India's participation there has been discussed. We'll see this article also, that what has come there. Then Multidimensional Poverty Index has been launched. We'll see this particular article, a very good article. One Nation, One Fertilizer scheme has been launched. We'll see this article also. Then the BJD's electoral success in Odisha. So the role of the self-help groups, okay, in the Odisha's case study, we'll see this in this particular article. Okay, center will intervene only wheat price increases abnormally. Now guys, the article basically is just briefly talking about, now you see in the past few days there have been very high inflation. Because inflation is very much high, within the inflation is being driven by the food price, and in that direction government will interfere in the pricing only if it will go beyond a particular level. Then after that guys, Britain junks tax measures. So basically Liz Truss has been criticized because of some tax measures that she had taken, particularly onto the corporate tax. Political article, no need to go too much into the detail. Then the Russia-Ukraine crisis is going on. Swedish Parliament elects Conservative Prime Minister. Okay, then business page, economy is poised to consolidate. So the Reserve Bank of India has commented on the Indian economy. We'll see this particular article. Then after that guys, ACC turns 87. Okay, the corporate trends, etc. that has been given, not important for the examination. Okay, then we have the sports page. Okay, so guys, that is all about the overview of the today's newspaper, and now let's discuss all the relevant articles one by one in the detail. Now, before starting, I would like to basically nudge you that please download this explainer PDF. You can keep on following it. You can open it in some other tab or on some other device if it's possible. Now, so first we'll be taking today the quotation from the Alexis Tocqueville. Alexis Tocqueville. So Tocqueville says that nothing is more wonderful than the art of being free. Freedom is the most important thing and most wonderful thing, but nothing is harder to learn how to use that freedom. Now guys, understand this particular thing. Sometimes we confuse the freedom with an ultimate license, and driven by that ultimate license we think that only our freedom matters and others' freedom is not given the regard, others' freedom is not given importance. So therefore many a times we confuse our freedom with the license, but it is not good, it is not responsible. So we need to learn as how to use that freedom in responsible manner. Is it clear or not? So guys, in this particular direction, you need to understand that as we talk about freedom and responsibility, even right and duty will go hand in hand. So freedom comes with responsibility, rights come with duty. This realization is very important, and this realization is not legal, it is actually ethical, it is moral, it comes from within. No external agency can impose on you. From internally, that particular realization will always be coming. This particular idea can be used in GS paper number 2, GS paper number 2 as well as in GS paper number 4. Moreover, on such kind of a lines, even the essay could be asked. So that is all about this particular article, and now let's take the first article. Okay, so the first article that will be discussing about, this article taken from the Hindu newspaper. Prime Minister inaugurates One Nation One Fertilizer scheme. So basically guys, basically the Prime Minister has launched here two of the schemes. Okay, one is the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samruddhi Kendras and other is the Pradhan Mantri Bhartiya Jan Urvarak Pariyojana. We'll discuss about this particular scheme just in a minute, but before that let's discuss some of the background, and after that background from the scratch we'll discuss that what are these schemes and how these schemes will be helping. Okay, now guys, understand this thing that today when we talk about India, around 54% people in India, 54% people in India are directly as well as indirectly dependent on the agriculture. Today, agriculture happens to be the largest employer in terms of absolute number of people working in the agriculture sector. But at the same time, when we talk about agriculture, there is agriculture distress, there is agricultural distress. In the past 1 year, the growth in the agriculture has been just mere at 2%. Moreover guys, at the same time, when we talk about the contribution of agriculture in the GDP, so agriculture's contribution in GDP is around 14 to 15%, is around to 14 to 15%. Now basically 14 to 50% GDP contribution and 54% people working in that. So what it means? It means that the agrarian's income, farmers' income has always been a cause of concern. They have been very much less. In this particular capacity, even the Dulwai committee has taken the note of this particular point and has taken the goal that suggested to the government actually that the farmers' incomes are to be doubled. Originally the timeline was taken was 2022. Now this timeline has been extended to 2024. So basically, on the basis of the Dulwai committee recommendations, the farmers' income are to be doubled by 2024. So therefore, there are some agricultural reforms that are to be taken. Now guys, as we talk about the agricultural reforms, you might be knowing already that in 2020, agricultural reform bills were raised, they got converted in act, but there was a lot of criticism on that particular thing. They got rolled back. Now there are another line of agricultural reforms that have been started by the government of India, okay, by the Prime Minister. He has launched some of the initiatives. So let's discuss these initiatives, and once we'll discuss them, we'll see that what will be the importance and how these reforms are going to help. Now, first of all, what has happened? The Prime Minister has launched two of the initiatives. Number one initiative is the 600 Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samruddhi Kendras have been launched. First of all, under which ministry it comes? Guys, it doesn't comes under the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Corporation, Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Husbandry. It comes under the Ministry of Chemical and Fertilizer. Now, on these particular lines, the questions have been asked already into the prelims examination. So, for the PT preliminary test, keep this particular thing in your mind. Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samriddhi Kendra, launched under the Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizer. Now, in this particular thing, what will happen? These Kisan Samriddhi Kendras will be the facilities where the farmers will go, and farmers will get multiple type of services at these kind of establishments, these kind of shops. So basically, understand this thing. Under this particular scheme, retail fertilizer shops in the country who are there now in the village areas, you might be finding that the fertilizer shops are there. All of them will be converted in the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samriddhi Kendras in a phased manner. Now these Kendras will provide number one, it will provide all the agricultural inputs to the farmer. For example, the fertilizers will be provided, seeds will be provided, other implements will be provided, other such kind of things which are needed in the agriculture, such inputs will be provided. Secondly, these Kisan Samriddhi Kendras will also be working as the testing facilities for the soil, seeds and the fertilizers. Is it clear? Now you might be knowing that we are running the soil health card scheme. Soil health card schemes. Under the soil health card schemes, the government nudges the farmer that before growing a particular kind of a crop or before using a particular kind of a fertilizer, first of all the farmer should know that what is the nutritional health of their soil, what is the nature of that particular soil. Okay, so therefore in order to help in the soil testing, these kendras will also provide the soil testing facility. Okay, seeds and fertilizers, their qualities can also be get checked from these places. Then it will generate the awareness among the farmers. Now guys, understand this thing that farmer empowerment is also a very important goal. So they will be provided the type of crops that can be grown. Okay, the different natural ways in which the fertility of the soil can be increased. All these awarenesses will be given. They will provide information to the farmers regarding various government schemes. Okay, now guys, when we talk about Pradhan Mantri Kisan Nidhi scheme is there. There are many of the government schemes. Kisan credit cards are there. So many of the schemes government is running for the farmers, sometimes for providing them credit, sometimes for providing them the loan, sometimes for providing them the insurance. For example, Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana is there. Okay, Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana is there for irrigation. So there are the multiple schemes that are being operated by government. Farmers don't know about that scheme. So the information regarding various government schemes will be provided to them. Okay, and the capacity building of retailers will also be done. Now, in this particular direction, all these efforts will be taken up. Okay, more than 3.3 lakh retail fertilizer shops are planned to be converted. 3.3 lakh retail shops are planned to be converted. 600 have been inaugurated. Now, the second component or the second scheme that has been launched by the Prime Minister, so it is Pradhan Mantri Bharatiya Jan Urvarak Pariyojana. Okay, Pradhan Mantri Bharatiya Jan Urvarak Pariyojana, or in short, it is called as One Nation, One Fertilizer scheme. Now, guys, when we talk about the fertilizer sector, so urea, okay, when we talk about the fertilizer sector, the urea, okay, which provides nitrogen, which provides the nitrogen to the crops, it is the most important fertilizer in India, and it is the one which is most subsidized by the government. But when we talk about the urea, it is being sold under different brand names. Okay, now the farmers most of the time don't have clarity that if the brand is different, will the effectiveness of that urea will also be different, or will it be the same? So now, in order to remove all that particular confusion, the Prime Minister has said that all the urea in the country will be sold under a single brand name, that is the Bharat. Okay, so here it has been provided that there will be the Bharat urea bags. Okay, it will help the market fertilizer company that they have to use a single brand name, that is Bharat. Okay, so all the confusion that the farmer is having about the quality, efficiency, effectiveness of the urea, it will be resolved. Now guys, understand this particular thing. I just want to give you an example. Okay, for example, when we talk about the medicines, you might be knowing that there are two types of medicines, two types of drugs. One are the branded drugs and other are the generic drugs. branded drugs and the generic drugs. Now branded drugs, though they have, because they have been given a patent, they are expensive. Generic drugs, they don't have any kind of a patent, any exclusive patent, so they are little bit cheaper. Now the effectiveness of both the branded and generic drugs are same. If same salt is there, the effectiveness is same, there is no difference in the same particular thing. When we talk about the fertilizers today, particularly the fertilizer of urea, it is providing one nutritional component, that is a nitrogen. So any brand, it will have the similar kind of an efficacy, but unnecessary confusion prevails. So in order to remove that particular confusion, there will be the same name, same brand and same quality. Again, there will be the same name, same brand and same quality, and only one brand name Bharat will be there. Okay, this is something which will be used as the fertilizer in the country. So guys, this is the shift, and this particular shift, Prime Minister had said that this particular shift is being introduced to bring a kind of a technological development in the agriculture sector. Okay, so this is a kind of a reform. Now understand one particular thing, guys. Both of these particular schemes for the prelims examination, they are very, very important. Preliminary examination. Secondly, when we talk about the GS paper number 3, there is agricultural sector and the agricultural sector reforms. There also, if you are writing an answer, you can give the reference of both of these schemes. So directly important for our examination. Now let's move to the next article. Okay, so first of all, let's read the heading, and after that we'll go to the next article. About 41.5 crore Indians out of multidimensional poverty since 2005 and 6. So this article talks about the Multidimensional Poverty Index 2022 that has been released. Now this particular article will see with respect to GS1 and GS paper number 2 issues related to poverty. Okay, now before going in this particular article, guys, I would like to give you some of the background as well as the value addition I would like to give you, so that you can understand first of all that what is the Multidimensional Poverty Index, and then only we will be able to make sense of the articles and the findings of this particular thing. So let's discuss about first of all the Multidimensional Poverty Index. So basically this entire detail, find the first half of the detail, is very important for your prelims examination also. Okay, so Multidimensional Poverty Index, it is launched by, and it is released by two of the organizations. Number one is United Nations Development Program, UNDP, and second is Oxford Poverty and Human Development Initiative. So OPHI and UNDP. Again, I'll repeat, OPHI and UNDP, they have established the Multidimensional Poverty Index, and it was established in 2010. Now, what is the basic idea behind the Multidimensional Poverty Index? Now, you see this thing. Traditionally, the idea of poverty is very simple. Poverty is seen just as the lowness of income, but no, that's not the true. Poverty manifests at multiple levels. It's not the lowness of income. It's not when a person is not able to afford the nutrition, but sometimes there are the deprivations that come on the poverty. Guys, understand this thing. Suppose a person is able to get the sufficient food, but that person is not able to have schooling. That particular person is not having the basic housing. Will you call that particular person non-poor? No. Still that particular person is poor. So this idea behind the Multidimensional Poverty Index is such that the poverty exists in multiple ways, and a person might be having the multiple deprivations. So on the multiple deprivations, a person's poverty is to be assessed. You'll understand this particular thing just in 1 minute. Now understand basically the idea of this Multidimensional Poverty Index is very simple, that poverty is not unidimensional. It is not just the income. Okay, it is based on multiple dimensions. For example, there are three dimensions of poverty that have been covered: education, health, and standard of living. Okay, now basically just please focus on this particular picture. So when we talk about the Multidimensional Poverty Index, it sees poverty on 3 dimensions, and within these 3 dimensions there are the 10 indicators. So again I am telling, there are the 3 dimensions, and within the 3 dimensions there are the 10 indicators, and this is something very important for your prelims examination. The questions on such kind of lines have been asked. So number 1 dimension within the health Health is the first dimension, and within the health we have nutrition, and then we have the child mortality. Nutrition is given the 1/6 weightage, child mortality is also given 1/6 weightage. Then the second is the education. Within education we have the two indicators. Number one, the years of schooling, and second is school attendance. Years of schooling and school attendance both have been given 1/6 weightage. And then the third dimension is living standard, and within the living standard, all these factors are there. Number one, the cooking fuel, the type of cooking fuel, whether the household is using clean cooking fuel in the form of the LPG, or whether they are using the cow dung, wood, etc. Then the sanitation, do they have the toilet or not? If there is a toilet, whether the toilet is connected with the sewage or not. Drinking water means whether there is a piped drinking water, and if the piped drinking water is there, what is the quality of the water that is being supplied. Electricity connection, housing. Now guys, housing means a type of house, whether it is a pakka house, whether it is just a hut, or that thing. Assets, whether they have TV or not, whether they have a refrigerator or not. So what type of assets they have. So basically within the three dimensions there are the 10 indicators, and all the 10 indicators we have discussed above. Now what are the findings of this particular year's multidimensional poverty index? So guys, this particular year's multidimensional poverty index had said that India has actually seen improvement in the poverty. In absolute number, large number of people have lifted out of the poverty, they exited the poverty. So the findings that go, it's something like this, that around 41.5 crore people exited poverty in India in the last 15 years. The period is 2005-6 to 2019-20. Now, one very important thing, guys, understand this thing, that whenever you are writing the answers, you need to complement your answers with some data or some fact, and not only the data is to be told, but the source of that particular data also becomes very important. Now whenever you are writing on the poverty, and when we have to talk about that actually India has done really some good work on poverty, we can use this particular data, that in absolute numbers 41.5 crore people exited the poverty. Okay. Then it secondly talks about that the incidence of poverty reduced from 55.1%, okay, in 2005-6 to 16.4%. So there is a lot of reduction in the poverty, and reduction has happened on all the deprivations in the 10 MPI indicators. So you remember we have discussed these 10 indicators. So in all of these 10 indicators there have been improvement, and actually this is the first time that South Asia is not the region with the highest number of poor people in the world. Now in the past, South Asia has been the region with highest number of poor people, but that bad distinction has now taken away. Okay, that is something. Now in terms of highest number of poor people, so there are 38.5 crore poor people living in South Asia, and there are 57.9 crore people in sub-Saharan Africa that is there. Now, but one thing that is a very cause of concern still now is that the impact of COVID-19 pandemic has not been fully captured in the multidimensional poverty index. Why the impact of COVID-19 is not captured? Because guys, this multidimensional poverty index, it depends, okay, basically it takes the data from the National Family Health Survey 5, okay, National Family Health Survey 5, okay, 71% of the data of this multidimensional poverty index is taken from the National Family Health Survey 5. And guys, okay, National Family Health Survey 5, and if you remember, National Family Health Survey 5 was constituted in 2019. Okay, the report got released by 2021. So majority of the findings of the National Family Health Survey 5 happened before the COVID-19 pandemic started. So therefore, fully the impact of COVID-19 might not have got captured in this particular thing. Okay, so this is something. Now though we made improvement, but still India ranks in absolute number of poor people in not very good place, because guys, India still by the far has the largest number of poor people worldwide. So around 22.8 crore people worldwide are in India. At second number it's Nigeria, where 9.6 crore poor people live. So what is the crux? Fine, don't get confused. I'll just explain the crux in one line. Crux is that poverty has been reduced. Poverty has been reduced. Okay. But at the same time, still we have the large number of people under the absolute poverty, and we have the biggest number of poor people in the poverty still. So a lot more improvement is now needed. Guys, even when we talk about the number of poor children, more than 9.7 crore poor children people are there in India, okay, and it is more than the entire poor people living in other countries, okay. So when we talk about other countries, total number of poor people, poor children, adults combined, that is less than what India's children's are, okay. So where we have 9.7 crore poor children, more than the total number of poor people in the another countries who are also deprived. So this is the entire issue. I hope that you have understood this particular article, okay, and also please download this particular PDF also, because the findings of such multidimensional poverty index becomes very important for your examination. Now we'll move to the next article. Okay, now this article we have taken from the text and the context page. How does tokenization prevent the online card fraud? Okay, so the process of tokenization we'll be discussing in this particular article. Now, first of all, this particular article will be important for the prelims examination. It will be important for the prelims examination as well as in the GS paper number 3. GS paper number 3, the banking sector, okay, the digital transactions, initiatives to safeguard the digital transactions, the article will be important. Now, let's discuss. First of all, what has happened, why this article has now come in the news? Because from the October 1, Reserve Bank of India has mandated that tokenization of credit card and debit cards are to be done. Okay, so all the debit card and the credit card details will be stored into the form of tokens. Now, let's understand this particular entire article from the very scratch, because many of you might not be knowing about what this tokenization is all about. Okay, now guys, we'll understand this particular thing by the help of an analogy. Now suppose you buy some of the, you do some shopping from the online websites. Let's say you buy certain goods from the Amazon. Now, many times you might be using the payment option, that is your credit card you might be using, sometimes you might be using your debit card, okay. Now guys, when you use your credit or debit card for the first time, you have to manually insert the details of your debit and credit card. You will be putting the card number, you will be putting all such kind of a details, name on the card, expiry date, all these details you will be manually be feeding on this particular website. Then you have an option on these websites or on these application that you can keep, basically that website will remember your card details, so that every time whenever you are making the transactions, you don't have to repeat, or you have to manually feed that information again and again. So many number of times what happens, all this information gets stored, okay. Now guys, many times we find this particular thing that the websites are getting hacked, and when the websites are getting hacked, all your information, it is stolen by the hackers, and that particular information is sold on the dark web, okay, or that particular information can be misused by the scammers. Is it clear? So therefore it impacts it can bring the cyber fraud, cyber crimes. So to solve this particular thing, the tokenization has been brought. Now guys, what will happen in the tokenization? Basically, whenever the next time you will be buying something from the Amazon, you will put your credit card, your debit card information. Now that credit and debit card information will not be stored as it is. Rather, for your credit card, for your debit card, for that particular website, a unique token will be generated. Now that particular token will be the mix of your card numbers. It will be the mix of your card numbers, plus there will be some unique credentials of that particular requester. Requester means the website from which you are buying the product. So there will be the some unique numbers that will denote that requester. For example, Amazon could be requester, Myntra could be a requester, Flipkart could be requester. So to denote that requester, there will be some unique numbers, and then there will be some other kind of numbers. So for every card there will be a unique token that will be generated. Okay. Now these tokens will be stored in that particular website, not your entire card information. Now how these tokens will help? Suppose there is some kind of a hacking of this website happened, and even if the information will be stolen, they will not be able to get the complete card information, they will just get a token. Now that particular token can be used only on this particular website, not at somewhere else. So the hacker, if even they got the information, they will not be able to use that card information on some other website or for some offline purchase or any such kind of a thing. So by this particular way, the tokenization will help. Okay, by this particular way, the tokenization will help. Okay, so basically, guys, when we talk about today, according to the Reserve Bank of India's annual report for 2021-2022, they have said that in financial year 20 there were 2,677 cases of card fraud via the internet that happened, and it involved the frauds of about 129 crore rupees. So you can even quote the Reserve Bank of India's report. Okay, more than 2,600 frauds that have happened. Now the tokenization will help. Okay, so just I will be repeating the tokenization so that a better understanding, a better clarity comes in your mind. So what is tokenization? It refers to replacement of actual card details with an alternative code, and that alternative code will be called as token. Now this token will be unique for a combination of card and the token requester. So who's a token requester? The entity which accepts the request. The Amazon, Flipkart, they are the token requester. Okay. Now basically, so if you use a mobile app or a website for online purchase, the merchant can your behalf and with your consent can generate this token. Even the hacker, scammer get their hand onto the token number, they would not be able to make indiscriminate use. Indiscriminate use means that this token cannot be used at any other place, any other website, it cannot be used. Is it clear? So the token is unique to a specific card number and usable only on that particular website, only on that particular mobile app. And even if it is being used on that particular website, okay, no shopping can be done without logging in on that particular website. So when the login will be done, mobile number will be used, there will be some credentials that will be available against for that particular scammer, and in that particular thing the steps can be taken against such kind of a scammer. So therefore these tokens are going to help. Fine. So this is the tokenization of the cards that has now become mandatory. Earlier the Reserve Bank of India has given an option. If you want, you can generate the token, otherwise not, but now it has been made as mandatory. So that is all about this particular article. Fine. So guys, I hope you have understood it. It is a very important development, and I think that there might be an answer in a question in this particular direction that can come in exam. So that's all about it. Now let's move to the next article. Hindi imposition and its discontent. Hindi imposition and its discontent. Now, basically, this particular article will see with respect to GS paper number 1, social issues. Within the social issues. Now, basically, guys, first of all, I'll tell you a little bit of a background that what has happened, and after seeing this background, we'll go in this article. So first of all, let's check the background. Okay. So basically, guys, what has happened? Since the independence, there has been a controversy surrounding the official language of India. First of all, when we talk about India, there is no national language, because giving the status of national language to one language will mean that other languages are not important. So we don't have a national language, but at the same time there is official language. Official language is that language which will be used for the official purposes, for the official communication, official correspondence between the center and the state, and all such kind of things. So official language is there. Now at the independence, there was a question that what should be the official language for India. Now there are the viewpoints that A, the Hindi can be made as an official language or English can be made as an official language. Now at that point of a time, it was there in the leaders, there was a kind of a thing that English, some of the leaders believed that English should not be made as official language because English is the representative of imperialism. English is the representative of the slavery, the colonialism that has gripped India for more than 200 years. So English should be abandoned. Some of the leaders believe that particular thing. Okay, and the Hindi should be made as an official language. But even on this particular thing, there were some of the leaders which had some apprehensions, particularly the leaders from the southern part of India. They said this thing that the people in the South India, many of them are not very comfortable in the Hindi, and if Hindi will be used as an official language, it will lead to a kind of it will bring a kind of a limitation for such kind of a people. Moreover, if Hindi will only become the official language, then even the examination such as the examination for UPSC, central recruitment, will also happen in Hindi, where the North Indians will have a distinct advantage. So it will be unfair to the southern India. So only Hindi cannot be made as an official language. So at that point of a time in 1950, an arrangement was made that as we talk about the official language, let's use both Hindi as well as English as the official language. The timeline of 15 years was decided. It was said that after 15 years, that is in 1965, the Hindi will become only the official language. Fine, English is just working as a link language for the next 15 years. Okay, so this is something that came originally for the 15 years, both languages will be there, and after 15 years the Hindi will only be becoming the official language. This is something that happened. Now as the time passed, what happened? There were the agitations that started in the parts of the southern India, because as the 1965 date was coming nearer, it was said that what will happen if the Hindi became the only official language? Obviously, it will lead to some discriminations towards the South India, and a word became very, very popular, that is the Hindigenization. A word became very popular, that is the Hindigenization. Okay, I'll write it here. Hindigenization means that the government at the center, it is trying to impose Hindi on the South India. Okay. Now guys, in this particular direction, already in 1959, Jawaharlal Nehru gave a kind of an assurance that don't worry, Hindi will Jawaharlal Nehru gave an assurance that don't worry, English will continue to be the link language and there will be no Hindi that will be imposed. That was assurance was given by the Jawaharlal Nehru. But after the death of the Jawaharlal Nehru, again there were the insecurities that came, that what will happen after the 1965 time will pass. Okay, so there was guys in the past a lot of protest against this Hindigenization that happened. However, finally Indira Gandhi, when she came, Indira Gandhi finally when she came, she provided a very clear amendment into the Official Language Act, and it was provided that Hindi and English will both continue to be the official language till the time the southern India they want. Okay, that is something that happened. Before that also an amendment came. But in that amendment there was a word that was placed that Hindi, the English may be an official language. So that word maybe was replaced with the word shall be, and that amendment was done during the time of the Indira Gandhi. So finally this particular controversy got resolved. But from time to time, what has happened again and again, this Hindigenization issue has come in the news. Now basically this controversy got finally resolved in 1967. I am talking about final resolution. In between also there are the time to time, for example in 1959 the assurance was given, in 1963 an assurance was given, in 1965 an assurance was given, but finally this controversy got resolved during the time of Indira Gandhi in 1967. But from time to time this Hindigenization issue has come into the news. For example guys, when the National Education Policy 1968 came, when the National Education Policy 1968 came, it talked about the 3-language formula. Just a minute. It talked about the 3-language formula. Now, what was this 3-language formula? It was suggested that the school education in basically the education in the schools that is being provided there, 3 languages needed to be taught to the students. In the North India, the students will learn Hindi, they will learn English, and the one of the language, preferably the language from South India. And in the south it was suggested that there will be the English that will be used, Hindi that will be used, and one of the regional language can be used. For example, it could be Tamil, it could be Malayalam, it could be Telugu, depending on that state. Okay, so one regional language can be used. Now, if you see, even in this 3 language formula, the Hindi stays a kind of a constant language. Okay, so therefore even this particular development was called as, it is nothing but a type of a Hindigenization that is being imposed by the center government. Okay, then coming forward, fast forward to the present time, National Education Policy 2020. It again repeated that we will try to implement the 3 language formula. So guys, if you are following the newspaper regularly, you might be knowing that even when the NEP 2020 came, there were certain controversies that came in the news, and this controversy were the controversy where the political parties from the South India said that we will not accept the NEP 2020's provision of the 3 language formula. Finally, the Ministry of Education provided this thing that no language will be imposed on anyone. It is optional. If you want to bring, you can bring it, otherwise no problem, imposition will not be there. This was a clarity that was given by the Ministry of Education finally. Is it clear? Now, what has been the present case? Okay, so guys, understand this particular thing. This is entire the background, and a brief summary of this particular background I have provided here in the article also. You can read this brief summary, but this background is something that you need to know. Now, what has happened? Recently, the Parliamentary Committee on Official Language, they have suggested that the Hindi should be used as a medium of instruction in central institution of higher education in Hindi speaking states. So, for example, Hindi speaking states such as the states of Madhya Pradesh is there, let's say the state of Uttar Pradesh is there, fine, state of Haryana is there. Now, these are the Hindi speaking states. In these particular states, basically the central institutions that are there, central institutions of the higher education, they will promote the Hindi, or they will promote the Hindi, and regional languages will be promoted in the other states. For example, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, there the regional language should be promoted. This is something that has come. Now, understand this particular thing, why controversy has come on this particular point. So they say that the Hindi should be used as a medium of education in the Hindi speaking states. Okay, fine, we understand this thing that in Hindi speaking state, majority of speakers will be the ones who speak Hindi, but still there can be the people who are the migrants from the outsides, the people who might be migrants from some other states where the Hindi is not their first language. So what about them? Okay, so it has been provided that into the higher educational institution, the medium of instruction, as now in majority of them it's English, it should stay English. Is it clear or not? Now it has been said that again it is a phenomena where the Hindigenization has come. So therefore a kind of a discontentment had started. So as we talk about the language controversy, it goes back to the times when the Constituent Assembly came. Now, at the time when the Constituent Assembly was voting as what should be the official language at that point of a time, Hindi was voted as the official language by a single vote. Okay, so a single vote extra voted in the favor of the Hindi language, and since then these controversies have happened, as I have told you also. Okay, so the 1965 fine and all those things. Okay, so guys, this is all about this particular article. I hope that you have understood it, and now we'll move to the next article. Judicial Committee over Arithmetic. Okay, now this particular article is a very good article for GS paper number 2. Issues related to judiciary. Now the article is talking about that how the legal matters, legal precedents, legal cases, okay, are to be settled. Now, basically guys, what had happened? Recently, a constitution bench of the Supreme Court. Now, constitution bench is that bench of the Supreme Court which has 5 judges. 5 judges, that is the constitution bench. So constitution bench has unanimously hold that the judgment delivered by a larger bench will prevail over the decision of a smaller bench irrespective of the number of judges constituting the majority. Now I hope that it is clear, but still if it is not clear, I'll explain you it in a very simple words by the simple example. Suppose guys, suppose there was a matter, there was any case and the case dealt with the matter X. Now the first, let's say the case went to the Supreme Court. First, let's say the case went to the Supreme Court. Okay. And what happened? What happened? There was the case went to the Supreme Court, and in the Supreme Court that particular case was decided by the 5 judges. The case was decided by the 5 judges, and in that particular case what happened? 3 judges were in favor, 3 judges were in favor, 2 judges were against that particular any particular verdict. Okay, 3 judges were in favor of anything, 2 judges were against. So obviously whatever the 3 judges will say, that particular thing will prevail. So in the judgment, whatever the 3 judges will say, what the majority will say, that particular thing will prevail. So a matter was decided in a particular manner. Now suppose okay, let's just take just let's just a minute. Okay guys, just let's change the example, because I hope by changing the example you will be able to understand it more. Just suppose the situation number 1, X matter was to be decided. Now this particular matter reached first to a 3-judge bench. It first reached to a 3-judge bench, and in this 3-judge bench all the three judges have ruled in a favor of one particular thing, okay, but again this particular matter was questioned, that it was not correct. Okay, then this particular matter reached to the higher bench, and in that particular higher bench there were the 5 judges. Now what has happened? In this particular matter, the 2 judges said as the earlier 3 judges said, and the other 3 judges, they ruled against it. Now what will be the final decision? So basically, as the 5 judges have ruled against a matter, that will become the issue, that will be upheld. But before that, when we see this particular case, the three judges they have ruled in favor. Now what you will prefer? Whether the final decision of the higher bench will be more important, or whether the decision given by a smaller bench will be more important. That is the matter that is being decided. We'll explore on this particular matter more as we will be moving in this particular article. So just wait for few minutes, it will become clear. So I have just given you the context. And now let's discuss this matter in more detail. So basically, it is a well-known fact into the law that the decisions of a superior court, they are always binding on a lower court. Okay, for example, if there is the Supreme Court, there is a High Court, so the Supreme Court's decision will always be binding. Okay, and the decision of a larger bench will always hold force over a smaller bench. For example, if there is a 5-judge bench and if there is a 3-judge bench, the decision of 5-judge bench will be more important and it will dominate, it will become the final decision. So in that particular case, so the larger bench's decision are more important, they have more force. This is something that has happened, and this particular law has brought the stability and consistency into the decisions of the courts. So if a smaller bench and then the larger bench, whatever larger bench will say, that will happen. Now understand this particular thing. Today, the majority of the cases that are going before the Supreme Court, they are being heard and they are being decided by the division bench or the 3-judge bench. Now, the division bench has 2 judges and the full bench, it has the 3 judges. So, the majority of matters are either being heard by the division bench having 2 judges or the full bench having the 3 judges. Okay, this is something that is there. And into the law, it is a very settled kind of a thing that the bench of equal strength cannot overrule or reconsider a decision of a coordinate bench. For example, in the past, let's take one example of marital rape. Now suppose there was a 2-judge bench. 2-judge bench had said this particular thing, that the marital rape is not a crime in India. Okay, suppose the same matter again reached to another judge, another bench, and in another bench also there will the two judges. Okay, and these two judges now say that the marital rape is a crime in India. Okay, can they go against this particular judgment that was already given? Because already two judges said that it is not a crime. Now again the another two judge bench says it is a crime. So can this particular bench question this judgment? No, they cannot do that particular thing. If this particular matter is to be questioned, then a higher bench, bigger bench will always be considering that particular matter. Always it will be considering that particular matter. So guys, whenever there is a doubt or conflict between the decision of co-equal benches, suppose two benches having two judges have ruled on the same matter and their judgments are different, then it is referred to the Chief Justice of India, and the Chief Justice of India then constitutes a larger bench on that particular matter, and then it is decided. Okay, so therefore it is being provided that suppose if a law laid down unanimously by a 5-judge bench is doubted, okay, it could be overruled by the 4 judges of a 7 bench. It is a question that has opened up. Okay, let's understand this particular question again. So what is a question? Question is this particular thing. Okay, just a minute, I'll explain you. I'll first erase this particular thing so that you can understand this particular question. So question has come, and the question is something like this, that there was a 5-judge bench. There is a 5-judge bench, and 5 judges have given a unanimous judgment. They have given a unanimous judgment. Suppose the judgment was the case was with respect to the marital rape. Now all the 5 judges, let's say, have said that marital rape is not a crime. Marital rape is not a crime. All the 5 judges have said this particular thing. This is one thing. But still, the matter, it needs to be reconsidered. Suppose there is another bench that has also come. Okay, it has raised a suspicion on this particular matter. Suppose the same matter by some other petition, or there is a curative petition that has been filed, or this matter is to be anyhow be tested. Let's say the case now goes to the 5-judge bench. Now the case goes to the 5-judge bench. Now in this particular judge bench, there is, let's say, a division, and division is like this, that the 4 judges, they say that the rape is a crime, marital rape is a crime, and 3 judges says that marital rape is not a, 3 judges says that it is not a crime, Now, what's the matter? The matter is that the final judgment, what is the final judgment? Here if you see the first case, 5 judges have said that not a crime. 5 judges had said not a crime. In the 7-judge bench, the 3 judges, in the 7-judge bench, what has happened? 4 judges have said that it is a crime, and 3 judges have said not a crime. But if you see in the total strength, it is a 5-judge bench, and the second one is a 7-judge bench. The first one is a 5-judge bench, and the second one is a 7-judge bench. Now, what is the final decision that will come in the second bench? The final decision will come that marital rape is a crime. Why? Because the majority says that the marital rape is a crime. But if you see the total number of judges who have favored this particular thing, it's 4. In the earlier bench, the total number of judges who have favored that it is not a crime, they were 5. So a controversy has emerged that will you see the strength of the bench as a whole? Do you see the strength of the bench as a whole, or do you see the number of judges who have ruled in favor or who have ruled against? Is it clear? So the topic can be little bit tricky. Okay, I can understand this particular thing because this is really a very big controversy that opened up. Okay, so if it's clear, very good, and if it's not clear, I will take 30 more seconds and will repeat again the same thing that we have repeated. So it's clear, very good. If not clear, then please pay more attention. So I told you, suppose there was a matter of the marital rape. Okay, now the matter of marital rape reached to the 5-judge bench. 5-judge bench, in that all the 5 judges, they have given a unanimous decision. All have said that the marital rape is not a crime. Let's say the matter again reached to the higher bench. Somebody filed a curative petition, or the correctness of this particular decision is, let's say, being doubted. Let's say there was a 5-judge bench, one more other 5-judge bench, and there again a unanimous judgment came, and there all the 5 judges said that marital rape is a crime. So what is important? Now this matter will go to the bigger bench. So let's say the matter has come to the bigger bench, and the bigger bench bench is now the 7-judge bench. In this 7-judge bench, what happened? The four judges, they said that the marital rape is a crime. 3 judges said that marital rape is not a crime. Okay, 4 judges said that it is a crime, 3 said not a crime. Finally, what will happen? The majority will be seen, and as 4 judges are saying it is a crime, it will be declared that marital rape is a crime. So in a way, the 7-judge bench has overruled the 5-judge bench judgment. But if you see the number of judges that had favored, actually in the earlier cases, there were the 5 judges who have ruled that the marital rape is not a crime, and here only the 4 judges are there who have ruled that it is a crime. So basically, effectively 4 judges are overruling a 5-judge majority. Is it right or is it not right? What will happen? What will happen? This is the question. Okay, so again we'll repeat this particular question. So if a law laid down unanimously by a 5-judge bench is doubted, could it be overruled by a 4-judge of a 7-judge bench? This is the question. I hope that you have understood it. Let me erase it. Okay, so this is the matter that has come. Now, the Supreme Court, while considering the same question, what it had said? It has said that a number of judges is to have salience and not bench strength. Okay. According to this particular thing, it has been provided that every decision by a larger bench could be doubted and overruled on the ground of plurality of opinions. But the final decision that had come, it is very simple, that the bench's strength will be seen. Within the bench, what has been the number of the cases, etc., will not be there. The final strength of the bench will be seen. Now, it has been provided that in India as well as in other countries also, we adhere or we follow the doctrine of the precedents. Doctrine of precedents means that whatever has been laid by the Supreme Court, whatever has been said by the Supreme Court or the judiciary into the past, that will be used as a precedent in the other cases also. That thing will happen. Okay, now it has been provided that the author is providing this particular thing, that what Supreme Court laid is not completely correct. Supreme Court said that you just see the strength of that particular entire bench. If a 7-judge bench has ruled anything, that will finally be coming into the place. Now, it has been provided that it is not correct. Okay, because a decision was what first of all, the Supreme Court's ruling was this. That suppose if a 7-judge bench is there, in that even more deliberation has happened. 5-judge bench versus 7-judge bench. In 5-judge bench, there are the 5 judges which are discussing the matter. In 7 bench, 7 judges are discussing the matter. So obviously into the second case, there is more deliberation. In the first case, there is a less deliberation. So whatever the final verdict of this bigger bench is, that it will be followed. Now the author is saying that just because a decision has been considered by more judges, it not means that it is always a correct, and it doesn't mean that always their judgment is fine. So the author has given one example. He says that if a larger bench arrived at a decision by a slim majority, that is 4/3 in a 7-bench bench, its correctness would be all the more doubted on the presumption that had the bench comprised different judges, the outcome might have been different. So if there is a slim majority, that slim majority should not be given importance. Okay, that is the same thing that we have discussed earlier. Now, in this particular direction, some of the way forwards are being suggested. What is the way forward? How to tackle with this particular matter? It has been recommended that whenever a bench is being given to the larger bench, it should be a bigger, it should be a particularly more bigger bench. For example, if a 5-judge unanimous decision is being referred to a larger bench, it should be considered by at least by the 9-judge bench and not the 7-judge bench. Why? Because that particular thing will bring even more clarity on this particular matter. Fine. Let's understand this particular thing. Suppose, fine, I'll give you one example, and by the example you will understand it. Now suppose there was the issue of marital rape. And the marital rape, first of all, was given to the 5-judge bench, and here all the 5-judge bench, suppose, had given the unanimous decision. They have given a kind of a unanimous decision, and the unanimous decision is this, that the marital rape is not a crime. This is the first case that happened. Suppose alternative, there was another 5-judge bench, they have ruled that the marital rape is a crime. So there is a conflicting judgment now. Now this particular matter will go to a bigger bench. Case A, it can go to a 7-judge bench. case A, it can go to a 7-judge bench. Okay. Now, if it goes to a 7-judge bench, there can be a possibility that the judgment will be split in 4:3. Okay, there is a possibility that a judgment can be split in 4:3, or there can be the unanimous judgment. Now, 4:3 split could be there. Now, 4 judge in this particular case might say that the marital rape is a crime, and 3 judges, let's say, that marital rape is not a crime, not a crime. Now, if you see on a plane, what will happen? Final decision of this entire judge will be supposed to be the decision of the majority. That is, the marital rape is a crime. But if you see the earlier case, the 5-judge bench, all the judges, they said that marital rape is not a crime. So, higher number of judges have favored into this particular case. So, a controversy will emerge. How to solve this particular controversy? Refer the case to the 9-judge bench. Refer the case to the 9-judge bench. In this 9-judge bench, even if there will be a kind of a split, the split will be 5:4. Even if there is a split will be 5:4. Okay, 5-judge bench, let's say they say that the marital rape is a crime. Marital rape is a crime. Now, if you see the first one, here the 5-judge benches had said that it is not a crime. Now, here also there is a 5-judge bench, and at the same time the total strength is also of the 9-judge bench. So, this particular matter will not be doubted. Okay, and in that particular case, even let's say if the 5 judges, they say that it is not a crime, it is not a crime, then also it will go in concur with the previous judgment, because also there also the 5 judges were there. So, rather than referring the 5-judge bench cases to the 7 judges, we need to refer it to 9-judge benches. So, if it is earlier it was a 3-judge bench, refer it to 7, not 5. If it was 5, refer it to 9, not 7. This is something that can be done. Okay, this is something that can be done. Guys, it has been provided that when we talk about the UK and Australia, they follow a similar system like the India. Okay, like the India, fine. But in that particular thing, the judicial responsibilities in this country tends to be more delicate. They discuss that particular matter with more of nitty-gritties in this particular matter. So, therefore, it has been provided that if we need to arrive at the correctness of the judicial decision, it has to do more than just the number of judges deliberating it. Okay, we need to give more sanctity in this particular article. Okay, so this is, guys, all about this particular article. I hope that you have understood. Okay, now we'll be moving to the understood. Okay, why to repeat? Guys, understand this particular thing, that everybody's learning speed is different. Okay, so that is the reason. Today's weapon of choice, its expanding dimension. Now, this article we'll see with respect to the GS paper number 3, with respect to the issues of cyber security. Now, what the article is talking about? The article is talking about the cyber threats, which have become a very big menace, which have become a very big nuance in the present times. So, today when we talk about the biggest crisis in the entire world, it's the Russia-Ukraine crisis. That is going on. And as the Russia-Ukraine crisis is going on, there are many of the papers, many of the research journals that had come, which says that artificial intelligence is driving the military innovations. Artificial intelligence is deciding where the attacks are to be made. It is doing a detailed analysis of the cost to benefit ratios. Okay, and on that particular thing, the military warfare is being driven. Now, in this particular capacity, the article is saying that we are not paying the attention on the threats that are being posed by the cyber attacks. Fine, we are not able to see what the cyber attacks are posing. So, basically, there are the grey zone operations. That are being carried by the cyber attackers. So, there are some areas which lie outside the traditional concepts of conflicts. They have become the bigger battlegrounds. Now, the article is talking about that when we talk about the cyberspace, it has become a very sophisticated arena. First of all, what is the definition of a what is a cyberspace? Cyberspace is simply explained as the superset of interconnected information and communication, technology, hardware, software, processes, services, data, systems. This is entire the cyberspace. So, cyberspace is an ecosystem where the hardware, the software, the data, the processes, all these particular things come together. Now, the cyberspace is being exploited today. Today, when we talk about the cyberspace is all pervading. It embraces all the region. It embraces the different planes. Today, a person sitting in Russia might make a cyber attack in Japan, might make a cyber attack in Korea or any such kind of a country. So therefore it has been provided that when we talk about the cyber threats, we need to be imaginative, we need to have out of box ideas in dealing with the cyber attacks. In this particular direction, a group of United Nations experts, they are deliberating how to promote the responsible behavior in the cyberspace, how to make sure that the cyberspace is being used for cyberspace is being used only for the peaceful purposes and it is not being misused. How to do that particular thing, a United Nations expert group is debating, but up till now nothing has come in this particular direction. Now recently you might have read into the news, there was one particular case that came. What happened, a Russian person was arrested because he was hacking into the computers involved into the conduct of the IIT examination. So a person was hacking into the computers where the IIT examination was being conducted. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that this is a kind of a grey zone warfare that is happening. This is a kind of a grey zone warfare that is happening. Basically today when we talk about the joint entrance examination, JEE examination, it happens to be one of the most prestigious examination of our country, and it is an examination for the entry into the higher educational institutions. Okay, and after getting the admission into the higher educational institution, then the jobs and their suitability for the job will be decided on the basis of this particular exam only. So this is a very important exam, and this particular exam was cyber attacked by one of a Russian hacker who had hacked these particular computers. So basically it has been provided that today when we talk about the cyber realm, it is not only confined to the Russia-Ukraine war. There are the new grounds, that are emerging. Okay, hybrid warfare is coming, and even the day-to-day practices, day-to-day activities such as examinations, they are being getting disturbed. Okay, so therefore in this particular direction, the article simply provides this thing, that when we talk about the cyber attack, we should not think that the cyber attacks will only be made onto the military hardware. The cyber attacks will not only be made onto the banks and all such kind of things. Cyber attacks can be made onto the day-to-day activities which are very significant for the country, for example the examination. So therefore on that particular direction, we need to have imaginative thinking, we need to have the new mindset as how these cyber attacks are to be tackled. Okay, so that is all guys about this particular article. So therefore we need to have the solutions for cyber intrusions, in the place. That's all about it. Now we'll move to the next article. Recovery analysis that points out what India got wrong. Okay, now this article will see with respect to GS paper number 3, state of Indian economy. Okay, now what the article is talking about? The article is talking about a recently released report by the World Bank called as Correcting the Course Report. World Bank report called as Correcting the Course Report. Now this particular report, it has provided that what has been the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on India, and according to this Correcting the Course report by the World Bank, it provides that the number of people living in extreme poverty, it has been increased by 7 crore. Number of people it has been increased by the 7 crore. So the world poverty, according to the article, the world poverty increased from 8.4% to 9.3% in 2020, and by that 7 crore people have been pushed in extreme poverty. The global inequalities have increased. Now if you will see this particular thing, rich countries have got the benefit because they had a lot of developed capabilities into the IT, in the technology sector. You might be knowing this thing, that the technology sector got the most benefit of the COVID-19 pandemic, and even the inequality, the Oxfam's report on inequality talks about this thing, the technology sector had got a more impact. Moreover, understand this particular thing, that when we talk about the richest countries, okay, they did not got that much impacted. And as the COVID-19 pandemic came, what was the focus of the government? How the government dealt with this particular crisis? So government focused on the fiscal policy as an instrument to tackle this particular crisis. What is fiscal policy? It means that government will give the fiscal stimulus, government will give the tax breaks, government will spend the money in the economy, and by that particular thing, the crisis will be tackled up. Now, which country can give the big fiscal stimulus? Obviously, the rich country can give the fiscal stimulus because they have that kind of money. Poor countries, can they give very big fiscal stimulus? No, they cannot give the very much big fiscal stimulus. So what happened when the pandemic started and economic slowdown was coming? The rich countries, they provided a very big fiscal stimulus. A lot of money was pumped into the economy, but poor countries were not able to do that particular thing. So therefore, rich countries were able to recover, but the poor countries were not able to recover. And this particular thing has also increased the inequality between the rich and the poor country. So therefore, this particular report, that is correcting the course report, had identified the three priority areas. It had identified the three priority areas where we need to focus. Number one, targeted subsidies that benefit the poor, they are needed to be given. So government need to give more subsidies, and the subsidies which directly be helping the poor, okay, they are to be given. Second, public investment to build resilience in the long term. So public need to invest in infrastructure, government need to invest in such projects which will generate employment, and at the same time which will also be providing some productive which will also be enhancing the productivity of the Indian economy. For example, guys, you take just one example. What today can be done? Government can invest into the ports, government can invest into the roadways, railways, etc. Government can invest into the ports, roadways, railways, etc. And by that particular thing, first of all, today the employment will be generated when this infrastructure will be created. Tomorrow, by using this particular infrastructure, the logistics in India could be enhanced. So therefore, government need to invest on those areas which build the resilience into the long term. And third, revenue mobilization that surely rely on a progressive direct taxation rather than indirect taxes. So as government need to spend money, government need revenue also. So for the revenue, what needs to be focused? Where the taxes should be, from where the taxes should be brought. So there are two ways. Number one, there are the direct taxes. The direct taxes, for example, the income tax. And second are the indirect taxes. The second one are the indirect taxes. So government should focus on progressive direct tax. So as your income increases, you come in a higher tax bracket, and as the income tax is a direct tax, so the article says that government should focus on progressive direct taxation. The people who are earning more, on them the high taxes need to be imposed. So progressive direct taxation is more important than the indirect taxes. Now indirect taxes will be imposed on all the things that everybody consume irrespective of their income. For example, a biscuit packet. Now even if a rickshaw puller is buying a biscuit packet or a Ambani is buying a biscuit packet, there will be the same taxes. So rather than the indirect taxes, we need to impose the progressive direct taxes. Now there is also one more report, that is the Overseas Development Institute was the report, or Overseas Development Institute's paper. It says that the fiscal policy and income this says this particular thing, that the role of taxes and the social spending, aggregate evidence on social spending and taxes across the world comes to a similar conclusion. They say that the fiscal policy into the post-pandemic recovery is very important. What it means in very simple words? In very simple word, it means that the money that government is spending and the where the government is spending the money, it is the most important thing. If government will spend the money which will enhance the income for the people in the long run, if government will spend the money where people are getting the direct benefit, that is something more important that government should do. Now, when we talk about the World Bank's report, which we are discussing presently, that is correcting the course report. Now, basically the report has taken the data, it has relied onto the consumer pyramid household survey data. Now, consumer pyramid household survey was conducted by the Center for Monitoring Indian Economy. Okay, now they have provided this particular thing that today we don't have any data by the government with respect to the poverty. The last government's data with respect to the poverty was released in 2011, and since 2011 government has not released any official data on poverty. So therefore this particular World Bank report has relied on the consumer pyramid household survey that is conducted by the CMIE. And they have provided this particular thing. According to this particular data, it's provided that 10% people in 2020, they are below the poverty line. 10% people in India are below the poverty line, and 5.6 crore people are likely to have slipped into the poverty. Fine. between financial year 2020-2021. Now understand this particular thing, that basically, if you remember the first article that we discussed, this particular article says that the people got out of the multidimensional poverty. But when we talk about this World Bank's report, that is correcting the course report, they said that more number of people have slipped into the poverty. Okay, so basically we are having here the conflicting datas. Now first of all, you need to understand that why it is a conflicting data, because earlier the multidimensional poverty index that we discussed, it took the data from National Family Health Survey 5, which was conducted by the government, and this particular report has been based onto the basis of the Consumer Pyramid Household Survey that is done by the Center for Monitoring Indian Economy, which is not a government agency. So there is a different data, and according to this particular thing, the number of people entering the poverty has increased. Now, according to the article, it is being said that government announced a fiscal stimulus of around 2 lakh crore rupees, which is only 1% of GDP. Now you see this thing, that at that point of a time, government said that we are announcing the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, which is actually a 20 lakh crore rupees package, according to Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. But actually the independent studies, they have said that it was not the 20 lakh crore rupees package, it was just a 2 lakh crore rupees package, only 1% of India's GDP. Is it clear? And even in that, monumental increases are not there. For example, just 20 rupees per day wage increase happened under MG Narega. It was not very big, it's just a marginal. Moreover, the majority of the fiscal package that was given by the government at that point of a time, it was into the forms of the credit lines, refinancing schemes. For example, the MSME sector was given the credit line that they can take the credit and they can support them. Refinancing was given to them. Now you see this thing, that in the time of pandemic, when there is no demand, why anybody will take credit? Why anybody will take the loan? Obviously that will not make any sense. So majority of the initiatives that were brought under Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, they were the credit lines. For example, MSME are being given the credit without guarantee. The hotel sector are being given credit without guarantee. That was something. Okay. Now, only one good scheme that the government brought during the time of pandemic was the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana. Under the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana, it was provided that the 80 crore people will be provided the additional food grains of 5 kg. That was the only graceful thing that came. But even after that, India had ranked 107 out of 121 countries. 121 countries. So actually, these schemes have not benefited a lot. Is it clear? At the same time, the article says that government's tax policies are very confusing. How the tax policies are very confusing? What government has done? Government has reduced the corporate tax during this particular time. Corporate tax have been reduced from 30% to 22%. Okay, and it has costed the exchequer around 1,84,000 crore rupees. So this much money would have come extra. Much money would have come extra if this corporate taxes would not have reduced. Now a question comes that do we really need to reduce the corporate tax? So it is being provided that the corporate profits have actually increased. During this particular time. The earnings of the corporates have increased. So in this particular capacity, the corporate taxes were, the reduction was not needed. Fine. Moreover, at the same time, World Inequality Report says that India is the poor and very unequal country. Fine. So therefore, the pandemic has increased the inequality. Now, at the same time, when we talk about the taxes and all the issues that are coming, you understand one particular thing, that government on one hand is reducing the corporate taxes, and on the other hand government is increasing the goods under the GST. It is increasing the goods under the GST, goods and the services tax. More and more goods are coming there. Okay, so therefore government's management of economy is something that is little bit wrongly placed. So the article is talking about what India got wrong. So this is a very critical kind of an evaluation of Indian economy that has happened. I hope that you have understood it. Now we'll move to the next article. At Defense Expo, India to pitch military tools to Africa, Indian Ocean region countries, IOR countries. Okay. Now, We'll see this particular article with respect to the GS paper number 2, GS paper number 2, okay, GS paper number 2, that is the India's international relations, as well as in GS paper number 3, defense sector, we'll see this particular article. In GS paper number 2, even in the defense corporation, we'll see this particular article, okay. Now we'll move to the next article. Okay, so the article it talks about that what has happened actually in the past when we talk about India, India has taken large number of steps on the defense cooperation, First of all, you see this particular thing that actually India has been one of the biggest importer of the defense. But now India has decided post 2020 that we want to become the net exporter of defense. And when we talk about the India being the next exporter of defense, India has taken a target that India will be achieving the manufacturing turnover of around $25 billion, that is 1,75,000 crore rupees of manufacturing of the defense weaponry will be done, and out of that $5 billion will be coming from aerospace and defense goods. Okay, so basically manufacturing turnover of $25 billion will be done, that is 1,75,000 crore rupees, and $5 billion from aerospace and defense goods and services will be coming by 2025. This is something that has happened. So therefore, India wants to find new partners, India wants to find new countries which can buy the defense weaponry from India, as India wants to be the net defense exporter to the other countries. Now, in this particular direction, guys, India has right now, when we talk about this particular article, Defense Expo has been convened. In this Defense Expo, India had said that we will now be further going and will be partnering with the African countries and the Indian Ocean region countries. To them, the weaponries will be provided. Now, what has happened? India has announced two big major conclaves. Number one, India-Africa Defense Dialogue, and second is the Indian Ocean Region Plus Conclave. So these two conclaves have been decided. Number one, the India-Africa Defense Dialogue, and second is the Indian Ocean Region Plus Conclave. In this particular thing, India will showcase its hardware weaponries to the other countries. In total, 53 African countries will be participating in the Indian-Africa Defense Dialogue.